Hey, what's up YouTube? Wicked here, and today we're going to talk about Kokomi. In the last video I kind of explained that she was a fairly simple and uninteresting character and that I didn't really want to get into a whole guide or breakdown of how she works. But a few people told me that they kind of wanted my opinion on it anyways, as some of you wanted Kokomi regardless. So I decided to make a video for those of you who still want a better understanding of how she works and how to build her if you decide to pull for her anyways. So the answer to the title question is yes, she really does suck. She isn't in a good place at all right now, and we're gonna go over why shortly. Let's just say that I really hope she does get a buff soon, as the backlash surrounding her character is kind of ridiculous and it's pretty justified in my opinion. Anyways, let's get into it. So her first constellation is kind of cool, but it's a bit weird. Basically, she does 30% of her max HP as hydro damage on the last normal attack of her 3-hit combo. It's not considered normal attack damage, so this seems like it's another attack that doesn't actually work with Beidou. Now I find that a bit strange, but if she has 30k HP, she's gonna essentially do an extra 10k damage on her last auto attack, which I mean is fine, but considering how little damage she does, I'm assuming this is going to be a large portion of her damage. As for C2, her healing bonus is increased on characters with less than 50% of their HP. Basically, she's going to get 4.5% of her max HP as healing bonus on her E, and her healing bonus will increase by 0.6% of her max HP on normal and charged attacks. Now her C4 increases her normal attack speed by 10% when she's in her burst, and her normal attacks will restore 0.8 energy for her. The effect can only occur once every 0.2 seconds. I don't think that really matters too much, considering that her normal attacks usually last that long, so I don't think that really matters, that little portion, but it's possible she might hit just a bit faster, so it might be every 2 hits. So just take that into consideration and check that out when you're actually auto attacking with her. And her C6 gives her a 40% hydro damage bonus for 4 seconds when her normal attacks or charge attacks heal anybody in the party who has 80% or more HP. So it's kind of a damage buff if she heals someone who's near cap. So overall, kind of lackluster constellations. That's one of the reasons why she's not really that great to pull for already. If you're planning on multiple constellations, that is, she'd probably work as well as at C0 as she would with any of these. I mean, maybe her best one would probably be C1, just to help with that ridiculously low damage that she does. But honestly, I feel like they should be giving her a buff. Right now, she doesn't really feel very consistent, and chances are you're going to be losing damage having her out on the field. So granting her an additional damage buff, something that puts her more in line with the rest of the cast of characters, because as of right now, there's no reason to be using her over any of the other healers that we have. So her normal attack is fairly standard. She does 3 consecutive attacks that deal hydro damage, and a normal charge attack that doesn't really have any special effects attached to it. Her elemental skill summons a jellyfish, and this skill applies the wet status to Kokomi, as well as healing any allies that are in the AoE and dealing damage to the opponents that are there. The healing is based on her max HP, so it does scale, but it requires you to stay within the area of effect of the jellyfish. While that's not too bad, it can be kind of annoying if you need to move around a lot. And her burst does hydro damage to surrounding opponents, and her normal attacks and charge attacks gain increased damage based on her max HP for the duration. When her normal and charge attacks hit, they're going to restore HP for all nearby party members. Kind of works the same way as Barbara and Jean, and the amount restored is based on her max HP. It also increases her resistance to interruption and gives her the ability to walk on water. Now that's kind of cool. It's nice to see and maybe give some good screenshots, but I don't really see the utility to this. Chances are we're not really going to be much in the water anyways, so I don't really know what benefit that gives to us other than it just looking nice. Her burst also refreshes the duration on her elemental skill, so it's best to use them a little separated from each other to make sure you have 100% uptime on your elemental skill. Song of Pearls increases her normal and charge attack damage bonus gained based on her max HP by an additional 15% of her healing bonus. So this kind of gives you a better reason to put a healing bonus artifact in the circlet slot. Her party skill decreases the swimming stamina of your party by 20%, which I mean is kind of nice. And she starts off with a 25% healing bonus, but a 100% decrease in crit rate. Now we're going to get into the main issue of the problem. A lot of people seem to be saying that negative 100% crit chance is bad, or that it shouldn't be that way. And I kind of disagree. I find it kind of interesting that they would release a character with negative 100 crit. But to compensate for that, they need to buff up her ratios. As it currently stands, she has regular ratios as every other character, it just doesn't make sense. So at level 8 talents, she still only has about 100% on her auto attacks, about 170% on her elemental skill, and 20% of her max HP as burst damage. So even at 30k HP, she's only going to be doing about 7k. Now the only weapon I recommend here is the Thrilling Tales. She doesn't really do much damage, so there's no point in going crazy trying to like fit her kit with a great damage weapon or anything. What you want to do is get buffs to your party. When you want her out, you want her to be able to provide as much buffs, healing as possible, because the damage is just going to be very lackluster, so it's going to be a major DPS loss the longer you keep her out on the field. At least with Thrilling Tales, once you swap her out, she'll give a damage buff to the character that you swap out to, and it still scales on HP, so it provides good bonuses for the team. As for the artifacts, Tenacity of Millilith is probably going to be your best bet. I don't know why they put her on Heart of Death for the trial, but once again, you're going to want to give her the Millilith set. That's going to provide a damage buff to other party members whenever your elemental skill hits enemies, which is a good damage bonus and something that's probably more worth it for her in the long run. You do not want to build damage on her. There's no reason to be building damage on her because you're always going to be losing DPS. So it's best that you give her as many buffs that you can provide to the party as possible. And that's pretty much my review on Kokomi. Can she work? Yeah, I guess. She does have healing capabilities. She can be put into certain teams. Like her best teams would probably be something with a freeze comp, so Kaya, Ayaka. You could also throw in a Taser Electro character in there. Raiden Shogun could probably help out a bit, but in the end, she's really just there to do that one job: provide buffs, heal your team. So when we have a character like Bennett who can do so much more for the party and give substantial healing as well, it's really hard to give my recommendation for Kokomi. But overall, she's just a very bad character. I think she's probably the worst character that MiHoYo has released so far. I would really hope that they buff her in the upcoming patches, as she really needs it. But as it currently stands, I can't really recommend the pull for her. Unless you're really looking for her specifically, or a healer that you just don't have, I wouldn't recommend pulling on this banner at all and just keeping your resources. Hopefully this helped. If you have any questions, leave your comments down below, and as usual, like and subscribe to the video if you want to see more of this type of content. You can also follow me on twitch.tv/wickedsynth if you want to come hang out. I'd be glad to have you. Have a nice one.